When we are watching hate brew online, we could identify using artificial intelligence and other methods to identify those who are talking about violence. And you know my concerns around even what's called drill music. Not all drill music, but those that talks about inflicting violence on rival gangs. That is driving some of the shooters.
Okay, interesting to hear from the mayor, and I want to go to you first, David, because you have that look in your eye. Call on me first. I know that. We've done this enough already. What do you make of, actually, I want to go to this soundbite from Eric Adams as well, and this is him talking about how if we pass Build Back Better, then that's going to make everything A-okay. Let's play that.
You've heard the narrative beforehand about defunding the police. Let me tell you what the defunders of police are. Those are those who did not vote on the Build Back Better bill. Money was in that bill for police officers. We have 2,400 ATF agents in our country. Only 80 are in New York. We need to double that amount.
So Republicans are for defunding the police, David, appears to be the argument here. But we had our researchers go through this bill, and they don't find anything as far as direct funding to aid police departments across the country. So here you have Eric Adams pushing a bill that's already DOA and at the same time lying about it. Why do you think he's doing that?
Because in a nutshell, and you can say you heard it here first, maybe somebody else said it on Fox News, but Eric Adams is the Obama of New York. He will give you a cleverly crafted statement that seems to be the truth with a scintilla of potential truth, and it won't mean anything. Look, you're right about the bill. When you look at the 140 ATF agents that would be hired in one scenario under the bill, it would have been for ghost guns enforcement, other gun-grabbing policies by the Biden administration and the left. But let's go to the core of this. Eric Adams is deflecting because he won't take responsibility and then he won't take action based on what's worked in New York so far. Over the decades, I've watched New York change from the bad old days to the good. What happened? Stop, question, and frisk. The broken windows theory, going after low-level crimes. He talks about how there is a lower rate of crime versus pre-COVID right now, especially in the subways. But when you're not charging people, whether they're turnstile jumpers or otherwise, you're going to have a lower rate on the ComStat reports. He is effectively lying to the people, deflecting to others who don't have the responsibility, as the NYPD is a mayoral agency, and therefore the mayor, the police commissioner, they're the ones in charge and responsible, and don't expect anything from the New York City Council because they're simply propping up Adams' failed policies. And let's forget Alvin J. Bragg, who ran on the idea of not only defunding, but suppressing, not charging, rewriting his memo, day one memo, about what they won't do. They're emboldening criminals in New York.
Oh, yes. Thank you, David. Sorry, we're on a little delay there for a moment. Yeah, let's show the stats here, shall we? But first, let's talk about a letter that we have now found as far as, or at least unearthed as far as, we'll first hear the incidents as far as 2021, 367, 2022, we see that nearly double, a 68% increase. And then this is the letter that we're talking about. In our view, desperately needed resources would be better invested in subway, bus, maintenance, and service improvements. We are urging the MTA to divest from this current model of criminalization. It's quite remarkable. And plus, let's also show this tweet from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She, of course, is the Congresswoman, 14th District, New York. Let's put that up. She says that punishing the poor does not create a safer environment. Instead, it threatens the very foundation of our community. It threatens the very foundation of our community. Nicole, how does that work exactly? Adding more police somehow being a bad thing and bad for the community?
Well, Concha, I stopped trying to interpret AOC's tweets a long time ago because a lot of them don't make sense to me. But I can tell you when it comes to Mayor Adams, I think it's a little cheeky that the former cop and police reformer, who's essentially his entire campaign was based on hashtag getting stuff done, has just had his first mass shooting under his watch. He's over 100 days in office, and it's like, well, what exactly did you do to make New York City safe in those first 100 days? Because I can tell you what he has been focusing on. He has been focusing on masking toddlers, masking preschoolers because of the threat of COVID-19. But by the way, again, they are the least affected by COVID-19 and the least likely to transmit that virus. But he has put more effort, more meetings, more energy into this instead of what he promised to do. And what he promised to do is bring back police reform. Instead, he said, you know what? Private sector, this is on you. We need more censorship. Anybody who's talking about anything violent needs to be taken off social media. And then what happened? There was backlash because rappers started saying, hold on, well, we talk about that. And now he caved into them again. I mean, what is he doing?
What is he doing? What are you doing, Nicole? You're matching my tie perfectly, and I appreciate that. We didn't talk about this whatsoever before the show. Yeah,
it's lovely.
Outstanding. Alicia, we only got about 30 seconds. You can't hide crime as far as news and as far as journalism, right? That on the local news channels here in New York, anyway, 2, 4, 5, and 7, this leads almost every night at this point. So spin it as much as they like. It's out there, and the local news is covering it very well, I think.
Exactly, and this whole conversation that we hear from Mayor Adams and other officials who try to spin this reminds me a lot of the inflation conversation that we hear from the Biden administration and other politicians. It doesn't matter how many times you blame something or somebody else. People at home who are feeling it and who see it themselves in their everyday lives know exactly what's going on, and they need more credit for that.
Indeed.
You know, Joe,
Coming
if I
up.
could just have one final thought to this for everyone watching.
Yeah, go ahead.
COVID's not the threat in New York City. Criminals are. That simple.
Well, exactly right. More expensive city to live in and a less safe city to live in. Quite a combination. Anyway, coming up, Saturday Night Live takes a shot at free speech.
Elon Musk offered to buy Twitter for over $40 billion so he can loosen its free speech rules. That's how badly white guys want to use the N-word.
The latest on Elon Musk's bid to take over Twitter. That's next.